Hi and welcome to Startup TV magazine. Unfortunately Mark can't be with us today. He's stuck at the office working on the next Business Startup show. So I've come down to meet the great man himself, Mr. David Gold. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
I've never been called great before. I'm settled for it.
I think it's a worthy title for you. Obviously, for anyone that's going to be coming to Business Startup that hasn't been before, they probably won't be aware that you're kind of quite an advocate of the show for us, and you've kind of opened a few shows for us now.
Well, I mean, I'm a great believer in the concept. I can't remember how many years ago it is that I first came, but I was hugely impressed by the enthusiasm. I almost expected it to be a business, and I was pleasantly surprised that there was, so much good work going on and so much opportunity for young people. So, a person can spend such a small amount of money and yet come away from a day's visit with so much. And that galvanised me, if you like.
Yeah. So looking back then, do you think you would have done things any differently had an event like this been around back in your kind of business heyday? Do you think it would have been useful back then to have had the kind of support you get these days?
Oh, I mean, it's been fantastic. But that would have been the furthest thing from my mind. And of course, it was just after the Second World War. And there was very little in the way of organisations supporting young people.
Yeah.
Although this is not just about young people. I mean, you can be 90 and go to this.
Yeah, exactly.
And get something from it.
Yeah.
But in my as a young boy, as I say, it wasn't something that I aspired to anyway. I didn't aspire to be a businessman. I didn't aspire to be successful. All my young life was about survival. So there was a much different process that I went through.
Okay. So for you then, how did you? What was kind of your first business, if you like, and how did that come about?
Well, I'm born in the East End of London. My father is in prison. There's no national health, there's no social security, and we lived in abject poverty. And one of the ways that my mother would scrape a living, apart from working as a skivvy during the day, and the evenings, particularly evenings, she would work in a cafe and would clean the whole cafe, after it closed. And during the day, particularly Fridays and Saturdays, we had a good fortune that our house was bombed, and we moved into Green Street in the East End of London, which was on a main road. And there really was that piece of luck that we all need. We all need a little luck, and this, in a way, was a bit of luck, because it did give us the opportunity to set up a stall right outside our front door, Fridays and Saturdays, and we would sell things. We'd make things, and we would sell things on this stall, and it was a way of making a living.
So obviously from that, then obviously your kind of business career, if you like, blossomed.
Well, I wouldn't have said that. I'm 9, 10, 11, 12 years of age while this is happening, but it was somehow a foundation that even at that young age, how much did it cost?
Yeah.
How much were you going to sell it for? So even as it doesn't occur to very young people, the buying, the selling, but to me it came very early, and I realised that that the key was to produce or buy as cheap as possible, and then to pitch the price to sell.
Yeah.
So if you put something on the stall for £1 and it's there for 5 weeks, it's too expensive. And I must tell you, my Leslie, my partner, she works in a charity shop, and I pop in there from time to time and buy as much as I can. And each day, this is like for a couple of years, I see this picture on the wall for £25. I come there, a year later, it's still there. A year later, it's still there. And I said, this picture, it's a charity shop. This picture is too expensive. And of course, everybody looks at me as if, oh, you know. And I said, look, it's too expensive. Why don't you reduce the price, cut your losses? After all, how much did it cost to buy? Oh, nothing, because it was given. It's a charity shop. Yet it's using up the space, and it's basic fundamentals, and yet that can be on the wall. And I think it was on the wall for 3 years, and I got them to I said, look, I'll give you £15, now reduce it to 10. 2 weeks later it was sold.
Oh, there we go. So do you think that kind of mentality about it is something that should be kind of taught more in school?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great sadness in a sense. They say that we're a nation of shopkeepers. I think that would be great if that were the case. I'm not sure that that is true. But certainly everybody should be given some basic training in hardly call it business studies. It's more business common sense, you know. And it really, because this isn't for everybody. Not everybody wants to own a shop.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to own a taxi car. It's not for everybody. A lot of people, let me tell you, one of the most successful people that I know is a friend of mine who earns £25,000 a year. He has 2 children and a lovely wife, and he is the happiest man on the planet. Now, that is a form of success. Is it success that I pursue? No. I'd like to be happy, and I like to. I have 2 lovely daughters, and I'm very happy with my Leslie. But I want more. But he is the most contented man that I know. So success isn't for everybody. But to pursue success, I think it is it's also grasping that opportunity. Every now and again, an opportunity comes along and passes us by. Lots of us. I think if you get a little schooling, you know, at school, as maybe in the last year of school. I'm not saying like me at 9, 10, 11, but I certainly believe that a basic school somewhere around the age of, before people leave school. Yeah. I think that some basic lessons, or even have entrepreneurs come into school. Yeah. And give young people. I've done a number of these where I've gone into colleges and spoken to 50, 60 young people at a time, and truly amazing. The enthusiasm, the want, the desire to hear stories that gives them the optimism. But it's more really just to be able to give a basic, so that if an opportunity does come along to a person that really wants it, and remember, you don't grasp this opportunity and become a millionaire overnight. That we all know that is not the case. But you've got to be somebody that is willing to work hard. I remember as a young man struggling, and I was asked, we were asked, who would work in the rain. My hand was the first one up. Who would work Sunday? Mine's the first one. Who will work extra hours? My hand's up each time. So, this pursuit of success comes at a price. Yeah. And certainly you have to have the perseverance, the determination, and the courage. And of course, you have to have this worth ethic, this desire. I want to be successful. I want to be a winner.
So is that something you feel you kind of still have then? Are you still looking for a particular success, or do you now feel you've made it and therefore now you're just kind of quite happy to cruise along and enjoy, if you like, or are you still?
I don't do cruising. I do pursuing success. I want success for myself, but I want success for the people that are around me. Yeah. whether they be partners in a business, whether they be my daughters in our business at Ann Summers, whether it be the people that work with me. I want success for them, and it's very difficult to say, hey, I'm going to cruise. No, I do. I'm very fortunate in that sense that I am driven constantly every day.
Yeah.
I pursue success, and it's pleasurable.
Yeah.
It's not hard. I'm not putting my hand up to work in the rain. I'm not putting my hand to work on Sunday. But I still have a great desire to succeed, to win, whether be with my football club, West Ham United. My desperate desire to get that football club back in the Premier League. It's a driving force every day.
Yeah.
I want success for my businesses. I want success for my people.
So what was kind of the catalyst then, if you like, for the move into football? Was that a love of the game, or was it to you a kind of a more business decision, or just a challenge?
No, it's never business. I mean, anybody that ever thinks they're going into football,
yeah.
First of all, football should never be called a business. I mean, that's a misnomer. It's an indulgence at best. It's foolhardy at worst. But it's a passion, and anybody that's a fan will understand that passion. My passion was to play as a young boy. And I came this close. I remember Ted Fenton, a very famous West Ham manager, saying to me, Gold, I've got some forms here for you. Take them home and you get your father to sign them and you'll become an apprentice footballer. Wow. Wow, this was fantastic. I took the forms home. I remember it to this day, my father saying, I want you to finish your apprenticeship. In those days, you had to be 21. You couldn't sign anything under 21.
Okay.
Your parents signed everything up until you were 21. I'm about 17, so he didn't sign the forms. I didn't become a professional footballer, but I always had that desire. I always had that desire that one day maybe I'd be a manager. In my 30s or 40s, 50s. That didn't happen, maybe I'll become a director. I'll make some money. I'll be successful. I'll be able to afford, or I'd have the ability to be a director. Certainly at my beloved West Ham, that would be my dream. I mean, nobody. For me to dream that one day I would actually be a co-owner and co-chairman of West Ham United, I would have said they're mad. Because it's a dream too far, I mean, you're going to climb a mountain and you're looking maybe to achieve half of the ultimate, but to actually get to the very top, it's very humbling.
So looking back then, are you in any way thankful then to your father for not signing the form and sending you off? Or?
No, because he treated my mother, a few months later he was back in prison. He treated my mother very badly. I never spoke to him in the last 35 years of his life. So I can't thank him. But yes, there are crossroads in our lives.
Yeah, sure.
But I can't and won't give him any credit because I have bad memories of him. So, no, I don't. I mean, there are crossroads in our lives, and we could look at any one of those. And if you take, it's like going to work and having an accident in your car, and then wishing, if only I'd have gone the other way, that wouldn't have happened. But we don't come home every day saying, I'm so pleased I didn't go round the other way round the motorway. Otherwise I'd have had an accident. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So no, there are crossroads in our lives, and it is what it is, and we must make the best of what is what presents itself to us. That's the key: is taking the opportunities of the best things. And people talk, oh, you've been so lucky, and I have. I promise you, I've been lucky. But I can tell you stories where I've almost cried in despair at my bad luck, thinking, oh, God, so unlucky. Why me? Why am I so unlucky? And that bad luck has turned out good luck. One, of course, was my father not signing the forms. You could say that was bad luck that turned out to be good luck. You could say that. I remember having a lease in a tiny little shop in John Adams Street in Charing Cross, or just off Charing Cross Road, Charing Cross Station. And I was just beginning to make some money, and the landlord came and said, your lease is up. And I thought, oh, God, I'm so unlucky. Well, had he have not done that, I'd probably still be there to this day.
Yeah.
Instead of that, I swore that I'd never, ever take another lease on a shop. Never. Swore. Never, ever, never. And that's what you've got to be careful of. Never say never. Because today I have 150 leases. But what happened at that moment in time, I swore to myself that I wouldn't have leases, and I went out and put deposits on 4 stores, 4 small shops. I needed to replace the shop that I just lost, and I ended up taking 4 stores. What I didn't remember, I'm cursing my bad luck. I'm so unlucky, and yet I end up with these 4 stores, and I didn't know at the time. So here's good luck. Didn't know at the time that we were at the bottom of the market in property, and I bought these 4 stores when nobody else is buying stores because oh God, it's it's like a recession. And a few years later, I got an offer. I bought 2 of these 4 stores for £40,000 each, 2 small stores in Tottenham Court Road, and I had an offer for 2.7 million and sold them. This is a few years after buying them for £40,000 each. I had an offer for the 2 shops at £2.7 million. And that was when £2.7 million was a lot of money. And, okay, it's in this, yeah. And I ended up selling them for £3 million after some long negotiations. So there again, I cursed my bad luck. Voila, it turned out to be good luck. So luck plays a big part in our lives, and our business lives in particular. And we got to be careful that we must bounce back as entrepreneurs. We must bounce back from adversity. Yeah, and that is the key.
I think that's one of the things in this country is there's still that kind of fear of failure, which I think in a lot of other countries there isn't quite so much of, and I think it's almost. Would you argue that almost part of being an entrepreneur is those failures that you hit along the way and then kind of dealing with them?
Yes, because in the main, failure is usually, in the vast majority of cases, it's so damaging to the morale that it's usually the end of that adventure. Yeah, it's the entrepreneur that says, and I've been there many times, I promise you, Simon. I've been there where you think, oh no, maybe this is not for me. And reminds me of a story where I first started playing golf. And I remember the ball going into this, it's a links course, and it goes into the sand. And I end up taking a 19 on this hole, and I thought to myself, this isn't for me. This game isn't for me. And 20 years later, I'm still playing. So, you have a bad day, you've got to bounce back. Yeah, you've got to bounce back. And,
nice.
I don't know what the question was, but that's, I digressed, didn't I? I told you about the story of... yes, I guess it's adversity along the way is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And yes, some will fall by the way. Some will fall by the way. And it's those with the stamina, the determination. This is a badge here. It's in... My mother died a few years ago, and I bought a jacket that from Dolce & Gabbana. There was one jacket, I think it was for £1,800, with DG on the badge on the jacket, and I thought, oh, that's cool. I must buy that, and it didn't fit me. So the chap said, well, I can get you one. That take about 3 weeks. We've got one in, he goes to his computer, we've got one in Rome, and we'll have it sent over. Or we've got this jacket here for £1,000 with no badge. So I thought to myself, or was it £800, no badge? That was right. I thought, that means the badge is £1,000. So I thought, no, don't get me one from Rome. I'll buy the plain jacket. And I got in touch with the badge maker, and for £200, I had this badge made.
Oh, nice.
And it's DG, Dolce & Gabbana, or David Gold. And around here were three words in Latin. So I said, oh, can I change them? He said, no problem. No problem. Still £200. I'm still thinking, I'm saving £800, and I'm getting a badge which it gave me the opportunity to put the 3 words down that I always remember. My mother, who died, she was 92, and I remember her over the years, how brave she was and how fantastic she was. Bearing in mind, she's virtually a single mother, and what she went through, and I put these 3 words, which is perseverance, determination, and courage, which she had in abundance, and I forgot the question, but I thought I'd tell you the story. Anyway.
Yeah. So your daughters then, which we'll just kind of touch on very briefly, did you kind of encourage them into the family business, if you like, or was that a decision that they actually made? No,
I didn't encourage them. I remember as a young father when my second daughter was born, and how disappointed I was that the second child was a girl. Again, I'm so unlucky. All my friends have got a son and a daughter, or a daughter and a son. Some have got 2 sons, and they're playing football, and they're emulating. They're going to do fathers love take their sons to football and do things that maybe they didn't achieve. So I'm really feeling sorry for myself. Simon, I can't tell you how lucky I am. I thought I was unlucky because I had 2 daughters and I didn't have a son. I didn't want 2 sons. I would have loved to have had a boy and a girl, like everybody seemed. At that young age, in your 20s, you're sort of you just feel that that's what you want, and that's the right thing. And I was so disappointed, felt sorry for myself. Turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. My 2 daughters are fantastic. I love them dearly. We're in business together. We run the Ann Summers organisation together. I'm the chairman still, hanging on, and my daughter Jacqueline is the CEO, and Vanessa is the managing director.
Okay.
So if you'd have written this down 40 years ago, somebody would have said, you're mad. But how did they get into the business? Well, I certainly didn't encourage them. they sort of, oh, we'll come and can we come and do some time during school break, and they'd come into the business. I hardly saw them. But slowly but surely they emerged and they took their opportunities. It's true that the odds are that there were more opportunities, of course, for them than for most. But nevertheless, they've got to be taken, and they worked hard. I mean, I can honestly say to you that the people say to me, what about nepotism? Wouldn't you have been sort of always giving them the lift up? And no, all that I gave them was encouragement.
Yeah.
And when I saw, and you don't initially, I've got to say, I would have said to you, if you'd have said to me, when my daughters came there, one of my daughters was a clerk. What do you think of her chances of succeeding in the business? I would have said 1 in 10. 1 in 10. And they proved me wrong.
Absolutely.
But they did grasp the opportunity, and I'm hugely proud of them.
Yeah.
So if you, I just wanted to share that with you, because there's a lot of certainly fathers that think, oh, I so much want to. The joy of having a son. Well, don't despair if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vanessa then, obviously only really came into the public eye, if you like, as one of the people behind Ann Summers through the Undercover Boss experience.
And wasn't she fantastic?
She was absolutely fantastic, yeah.
I was hugely proud of her. I mean, she's always been in the shadow of her sister, Jacqueline, who has, been the public face of Ann Summers. But she's a talented lady, and she has these qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And but she's also got a great personality, and I think that came through.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
In the program. And interestingly enough, we opened a new store a couple of weeks ago in Westfield.
Yeah.
In Stratford. And I went along and walked into the shop, and there were two of the girls that had won that Vanessa had chosen. I don't know if you recall, there were two girls working in two different stores, and they were both there. One was the manager of the new store, and I think the other one was training to be a manager that was going to move on to another store. So just for those people that saw the show, thinking that that would have been the end of them, it's not. Those two of those three girls that I know of have, are successful, and the store as we speak is a successful store. They would be contributors to that. Those new entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually own something to be successful. You can be hugely successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
By achieving, by being, having these qualities that I've spoken about, and these two young women have just put themselves on the first rung of the ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that program showed as well is that it's, in particular for any new business, it's kind of important to recognise when you've got someone good working for you, and to obviously kind of embrace that and encourage it.
Oh, absolutely. But that's not easy, because you need a mechanism to capture good people.
Yeah.
I would say that my mechanism, and it's very, very basic, and that is trying to get round and speak to people in your business. And I just pop round. I might take a couple of hours out, and I'll go onto the shop floor, I'll go into the offices, and I'll chat with people. And often that's, you see something, or you see a certain quality, or you say, well, I might go to, it can be anywhere in the business, but you can see certain qualities in people. and then next time you say, I think that person should be given an opportunity.
Yeah.
Or an opportunity emerges, and you think, and somebody will say, oh, well, we're going to recruit whatever, and you think, do you know, I think that person that I met a couple of weeks ago, or that I met on a number of occasions, I think that person should be given an opportunity.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, look, we're going to leave it there then, David, because we don't want to give too much away before everyone comes to Business Startup to see you.
Okay.
So thank you very, very much for your time today. It was as always lovely to catch up.
It's been very pleasurable.
Fantastic. And of course, don't forget to obviously come down and you can see David Gold speaking at the Business Startup Show on the 17th and 18th of November. Thanks very much, David.
You're welcome, Simon. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.